Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Patch 2.2, otherwise known as the April update, is just around the corner, and with that is going to come a few changes to the behaviors of some of the base weapons as well as a few specific exotics. So let's take a look at these changes and what that means for you. First up, we have the auto rifles, with the low rate of fire auto rifles like the Suros regime or Answering Chord or the Anguish of Drisden having a 2.3% increase in base damage. The high rate of fire auto rifles like the Doctrine of Passing are having a 2.5% reduction in base damage. In addition to those changes, we're going to see an across-the-board improvement to hip-fire final accuracy. This is all very good news for auto rifles, especially the low rate of fire ones. That, combined with the improvement to hip-fire accuracy, will help auto rifles achieve the goal of being optimal at close to medium range. In the stream, they also showed off the new auto rifle in the Queen's Wrath set, and it seemed to perform really well. It falls into the low rate of fire. In fact, I think it's probably one of the lowest rate of fires in the game, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people seek out this weapon. I know I will be. Next up, we have the change to the pulse rifles. The low rate of fire weapons like the Messenger, Spare Change, or Red Death are going to see a 3% increase from previous base damage. This is a good change for pulse rifles. I think they were hit a little too hard in the 2.0 weapon balance. It's going to be a lot easier to 2-burst headshot your enemies. Next up, we have hand cannons, with them increasing the ammo inventory across the board. If you have seen any of my hand cannon reviews over the past few months, you have picked up on one trend, which is that they all seem to run out of ammo very quickly. Personally, I think this was an issue with overall accuracy being hit a little too hard during the last weapon balance, but hopefully the increased ammo inventory will help mitigate that a little bit. Next up, we have a big improvement to fusion rifles. The first fix is with fusion rifles having more stability across the board. Now, they want to specify that the maximum stability will be right where it is, but if you have a weapon that is less stable, you'll notice that a lot more stable now after the patch. This directly addresses the issue where fusion rifles would have too much kick, making a lot of the bolts miss your target at medium range. And for a weapon that is optimized for medium range, it made the weapon class very unreliable and inconsistent. Hopefully after the change you will see a lot more of your bolts land on your target, and it might make the weapon a lot more viable in the Crucible. The final changes to base weapons are with the sniper rifles, and there are a lot of them. First, you have an increased base zoom distance on the lowest range sniper scopes. This should make it a little bit harder for people to snipe from medium to close range. Next up, we have the increase in base zoom distance on sniper rifles that do not have optics enhancing scope nodes, like the Hereafter, Black Spindle, Patience in Time, and Still Piercer, i.e. the exotics. Next up, they are adding 2 frames of zoom time to the base sniper handling. This means going from resting to aiming down sights. This will make it slightly slower for you to acquire your target and will really only affect quickscopers. With that, they're also reducing the zoom time bonus that you get from the snapshot perk from 30% to 20%. Next, they're reducing the stability of all sniper rifles across the board, so that reacquiring a target after firing requires more care. And then they addressed Zen Moment specifically that was not providing the perk it was supposed to for sniper rifles. So I'm a pretty big fan of everything they've done with the sniper rifles. I found them to be a little bit too easy to use, especially in the Crucible. And it all seems to reinforce their intended goals with the sniper rifle, which is for it to be a weapon that's used best at long range and will reward a patient player with good thumb skills. Overall, I'm pretty happy with all of the base weapon changes. I'm a little sad that they didn't improve the accuracy of hand cannons, as they were my favorite class of weapons in year 1. Now for the exotic weapon tuning, I'm going to highlight a few of my favorites. So if you want a list of all weapon changes, I'm going to leave that link in the description. First up, we have the Suros regime, with the major change coming to the focused fire perk. Ever since they added the spinning up perk, they've noticed a lot more people are choosing that one over focused fire. I personally really like Focus Fire, but we're all going to get a much more compelling reason to use it because they're increasing the range stat of Focus Fire by 45. That means while aiming down sights with the Focus Fire perk, you're going to have a significant increase in effective range. This, in addition to the base damage increase, is going to make the Suros regime a very compelling weapon to use. Next up, we have a small change to the Hawkmoon, which was to increase its range by 10. The effective range of hand cannons were one of the things that were hit hardest in year 2, and it's nice to see that bounce back a little bit. Next up is a very welcome change to Thorn. Even though it is remaining a year 1 weapon, they are reducing the damage over time to the absolute minimum in PvP, which is 1 HP base damage. In addition to that, they are reducing the damage over time duration in PvP to 4 ticks instead of 6, and they are reducing the intensity of the poison screen effects to the victim. Next up we have Dreg's Promise, the only exotic sidearm in the game. Now the projectiles will track a lot more aggressively, and to balance that they are reducing the amount of damage it does and the rate of fire. They are also reducing the damage fall off to bring them more in line with other sidearms. This is the weapon I'm most curious to play around with in the Crucible. Finally is a change to Telesto. They fixed a bug that caused Telesto projectiles to despawn when impacting friendly players and the Ward of Dawn. Now, Telesto rounds will attach and detonate on friendly targets but not cause friendly fire. This means if you have a friend in a close quarter situation, you can simply shoot them in the back and have it explode on your enemies. Now again, this was only a handful of the exotic weapons that they touched, so check out the full article to learn more. What are your thoughts on the April weapon tuning? Leave them in the comments below. Drop a like if you can, and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time.